there guys, this is Obsidian Chill, got another video for today. And with the release of the Halloween Seasonal and the Black Adam Ally on test server, we have some new content to go through, as well as some other leaks, which I'll touch on in another video. So taking a look at Black Adam, we have the character model refresh as well, but we have Black Adam, Divine Destruction, combat ability calls down 8 lightning bolts against nearby enemies with the word Shazam. We have Strength of Amun, or Amun. Finisher superpowers mark targets to drop the Spirit Orb, which defeated, cooldown 20 seconds. Players who collect the orb receive a percentage boost to might, precision, as well as healing over 10 seconds. Power of Aten, increase amount of generated from Supercharge generator abilities. So, let's go through. We'll touch on his damage aspect and go through each of the passives in depth.
Down the lightning.
Okay, so taking a look at the damage breakdown, now that they, kind of spoiler, but they've leaked the new power set boxes for the higher CR, so now I can actually go through and update all my allies tested, probably even max CR above 378. I'll have to decide how I want to do that. But in terms of Black Adam, it's obviously going to be legendary, 10 star, 427 for AoE, 430 for single target. It is on the weaker side. So if you look at the ally rankings, this is still at 378 CR. Black Adam is 427, probably around the same as Bombshell Harley Quinn, Nubia, but well below. Some of the other allies. I mean, 100k I wouldn't say is well below, but I mean, in the sense of an ally, 100k makes up a lot of difference. So on the NPC single target, 430, once again, following like in the middle of the pack. So this could be subject to change because, I mean, not like the passives are completely broken, but I would usually, because I mean, Death Metal Batman came after the fact, same Flashpoint, Future Lex Luthor, Batman Laughs. I mean, usually every time they release a new ally, the damage is pretty close to the previous one. I mean, Batman was the most recent one. It's almost the same as Superman. And then they released Black Adam, and it's pretty weak by comparison. So this could be subject to change. Now, there is a tricky thing now is the boss NPC ranking. All our testing was previously done on Flashpoint Doomsday because it was simple. And easy enough to reproduce results. The problem is now that they've leaked the next episode or elements of the new episode on test server, Flashpoint Gotham City is a part of clamped content now, which is going to throw off all the results. So we have to find a new boss and a new map to be able to test these results on. So I didn't do that yet because obviously I would have to retest every single ally to be a proper comparison. So I will get to that, but I have to find something that's actually going to work and be something that can actually be, produce proper results. But I mean, at the same time, if his single target damage is 430, it's really not going to be that much fluctuation. He has no kind of bonus damage, so it's not going to be even touching Crypto or House of Legends bot. I mean, he wasn't designed, same thing with Flashpoint Batman. So he's still going to be kind of in the middle of the pack here in terms of Aquaman, Calculator Bot, all these, maybe around Bombshell Harley Quinn. So it's still nowhere close on single target in terms of what you want to use. And even the damage results, it's still going to change a bit because his lightning bolts, it just sometimes is weird. Sometimes they would tick on a single target instead of hitting multiple adds. It just, there's a little bit of fine tuning that has to be done with his damage passive. But at the same time, even if they crank the damage, then yeah, or change it drastically, I'll make another video or community post, or I'll make another video when I update the rankings. But at the moment, Black Adam is not what you'd want to use for any kind of damage. Okay, so taking a look at the first passive here, is the Strength of Amun. So finisher, or Amun, however you pronounce it. Finisher superpowers mark targets to drop Spirit Orb. When defeated, cooldown 20 seconds. Players who collect the orb receive a percentage boost to might prec and then healing over time. So how that actually works, nature just to show Impaling Thorns will be AoE on nature, so hit multiple targets, but only the target that I'm locked on is actually going to produce that orb. So say, for example, if we need him to come back down. So this thrall that I'm kind of marked on in front is going to get the orb. even though I'm hitting both. So as you can see, he's got that blue effect around him. That's going to trigger the orb when he's defeated. So now this orb is dropped. If I can pick up this orb, you can see the animation on me. And if I go to my stats, we're going to look at the might and prec stats here. They're going to drop after the 20 seconds has expired. So that they've dropped there. Same thing, I can hit Impaling Thorns again, hit procs it, drop the orb. So I mean, a simple concept there. You mark an ad with the finisher, you defeat that ad within the time zone where he's got that ore active, and you get the orb for bonus stats. Now, the issue in actual practice is, for example, if we take this set of ads here, if I, mark a finisher, kill these ads, that probably wasn't within the 20 seconds. So, oh no, it was. So now if I'm using my second player and runs up there in the group, he got that orb. So you can see my group mate has that orb on, and he got the bonus stats. I got nothing because he collected my orb. So in a situation in any kind of raid fight, 99% of the time when you're on my DPS using a finisher, it's because it's a single target fight and you have a finisher on for the boss. So if there's an ad fight during the boss fight, or the boss fight with ads, whichever, the tank's going to pull those ads towards the boss. You're going to kill them with mark them with a finisher. They're going to drop an orb. And are you expecting to run all the way up to the boss, collect your orb, and run back and start DPSing again? That's not practical. That's not going to happen in actual raids or in alerts or anything. That orb is going to go to the tank. The tank's going to end up picking up on 90% of the orbs. So in its current state, how it works is just not practical whatsoever. It's pretty much useless. I mean, it'd be great if you're a battle tank, sure, because then you've got a pretty much perma buff of like prec might and healing over time. So that's great from that perspective, but why would I run this as a DPS at all? So what has to happen is it has to be changed. So for example, if I'm defeating ads as regularly and just wasting power, hopefully I can get the actual orbs. See, so they generated power orbs and I got the power returned back. I don't have to collect those power orbs. They go automatically to me when I defeat an ad to give me power return back. So if they don't change the Black Adam passive to work like that, then this will be 100% useless. It just won't be practical whatsoever. But if I defeat an ad marked as a finisher and that orb gets auto collected to me, no matter where I am in the raid, then that's actually a decent passive. It'll still be situational because it'd be situational for those boss fights with ads. And at the same time, the ads may not be constant, so it'd still be better if on like an Emperor Aquaman where you're getting consistently throughout the entire fight, you're getting bonuses in terms of the cooldown reduction on your ally. But I mean, at least then it somewhat makes that passive viable because then you don't have to worry about where you are in the instance. Because the same thing, if you're like in a hallway fight or something like that, not that you really use a finisher in a hallway fight, but if you're, say, like a light using Light Blast or Nature using Impaling Thorns, etc., you would be using it. But if the tank's where all the ads are, the tank's going to get that orb. Unless you're melee the entire time trying to get the orb and defeating the ads, which is not always going to happen. So, yeah, if I'm on top of the ads every time, yeah, I'm going to get that orb or that spirit orb. So it's a simple concept to understand. You kill an ad that had taken finisher damage, you get bonus might, prec, and healing over time. But in actual practicality, in terms of how they've introduced it, at least on test server, it's not going to work. So, of course, I'll put that feedback forward and see if we can get it to work like that. But if it's not changed, then it's going to be a useless passive. So before I jump in and show the spreadsheet, because it's a little bit easier to break down and see the numbers for the second passive, I'll show the gist of it here and what it actually entails and what it does. So Power of Aten, increase the amount generated from Supercharge generator abilities. So each power set has its own Supercharge generator, shown in brackets here, Nature, Serpent Call. Now, if I use any ability, even my weapon tap, you'll see in the log there, my recovery healed myself for 8 Supercharge. If I use a power like Voracious Plants, same thing, it's going to give me 39. Harvest will give me 39, etc. So each ability has its own recovery of the Supercharge. Now, if I use Serpent Call, it's going to give me, as you see, the Serpent Call healed me for 157, and then the recovery was increased for 48. So basically, each time I hit my Supercharge generator's nature, it'll give me 157 plus 48. Now, that is increased by a Scrap the Soul Cloak. So if I do Scrap the Soul Cloak with Serpent, we'll just did that break. So now it's 198 and 60. And for this example, we'll take this off. Now we'll switch the passive on. So now we got 8. Now my supercharge generator, you're going to see here, just if I expand the log a bit here, power of Aten healed me for 39, super call 157, and 48 was the bonus part of the supercharge generator. So I get all 3 of those ticks of supercharge regen at the same time with this ability. Now if I put Scrap the Soul Cloak on, same thing, reset it, and then generator, I get 49 with A10, 198, and the 60. So that's essentially how it works. I mean, it is what it is. It's going to increase each time you use that. So it's going to be very helpful for, like, say, controllers or, say, earth, water, like, you know, might power sets that would use a supercharge generator in their rotation. One little tidbit here. This would be more impactful for prec players. Say, for example, if I go to Rage. Rage is this Relentless Anger right here. And Relentless Anger, obviously it's a melee one, which it wouldn't be melee, say with like prec flurry shotting. But as an example here, same thing, we'll reset sparring target. Now if I use my supercharge generator and clip it with any kind of ability, just so that I'm not going to do damage to the target and move, as you can see, still getting 198, still getting 49, and still getting 49. So I don't actually have to hit the target. Same thing, I could be, you know, I could be like a flurry shot DPS with like phase dodge, whatever. Do I have phase shot spec? Whatever, doesn't matter. I can use a shield. Same thing, any kind of ability, maybe clipping it, and I just got the 49, 98, 198, and 49. So it does give an opportunity for prec players to possibly switch up their, I mean, if they swap in the Scrap the Soul Cloak, they're still going to get that bonus anyway, but not prec players aren't typically running the supercharge generator as their clipping power with their weapon buff and everything else. So this kind of presents the opportunity for, say, like Rage or Electric, where you're pretty much completely reliant on Berserk and Circuit Breaker to use that supercharge generator ability now, just to kind of, you know, increase your supercharge. I mean, it may be a moot point for, like, you know, either Gemini spam lobbies, but that's always something that that bugs me around for a very long time. I'm not sure how many people are aware of it, but same thing. Like, even if I put like my Sun Combat, I'll put the weapon buff on because that probably would be more realistic than using a shield. We gotta go through and find it here. Lust. It's the same thing. If I'm, you know, flurry shotting whatever and clip Relentless Anger with Bloodlust, same thing. I just got the bonus supercharge from the not only the ally, but as well as the supercharge drainer. And if you have Scrap the Soul Cloak on, you'll get the bonus from Scrap the Soul Cloak. So that's just an opportunity. So now let's jump in and we'll break down the spreadsheets here. Okay, so taking a look at the breakdown of the actual numbers here. Now, technically, I could have done a category where it showed how many supercharge generator abilities it took, like say like 22 to max your supercharge. I felt like that wasn't really indicative of an actual test because no one's actually going to sit there in content and only hit their supercharge generator back to back to back to back. So, I mean, you're going to be using other powers and other abilities. So showing you how fast it can earn it is not necessarily going to show the benefits of this ability. It's more kind of proving the point that it works. So it is, since the second passive starts at star rank 6, so the baseline supercharge generator is always going to be 196. In terms of this was a fire test, it's going to be slightly different here if you're looking ahead. But we're taking a look at 196 star. It's going to be 7, 15, 23, 31, and 39 in terms of a bonus. So that gives a total of 203, 211, 219, 227, 235. And then with Scrap the Soul Cloak, like I said before, you saw previously 198, or I think you saw 196 and 49. It's going to vary. Total of the baseline is 247. Now it jumps up to 296. So, I mean, proof is that more supercharge is better. I mean, what you're going to have to decide to yourself is depending on how powerful your supercharge is and how often you're using it, then it kind of comes into an issue where typically Emperor Aquaman would be what you'd run as your supercharge. So each time you hit a supercharge, you reduce the ally of your cooldown of your ally. that is still very powerful because the more often you use your ally, the better. But certainly for situations like, say, like you're a controller, because I mean, this passive is technically geared more towards a controller and a healer. If healers are using a Supercharge generator, not too many healers I know that do, but there's some do that kind of focus on like a gem spam build that they do run that. So taking like from a DPS perspective, having the extra Supercharge, there may be situations where it is handy to have bonus Supercharge. Like I said, pretty much only with like Electric and Rage because of how dependent those power sets are. But at the same time, if you're in a gem spam group, you're going to be gaining Supercharge really anyways. So at that point, you'd want Emperor Aquaman, so you get more ally damage. So it's kind of a trade-up. But for controllers, since we don't really have any kind of allies geared towards controllers, this is very handy because obviously a controller will be using their Supercharge cooldown off cooldown because it's going to be a debuff as well. So that makes it much better for them in terms of their Supercharge generation. And basically this section here is just basically to show you that not all power sets are created equal. There are some power sets that deal that have more bonus to the recovery because 157 is going to be standard. And I didn't make a point here, but also there is a league buff tied to Supercharge generation. I think it's like 2%. So that's why if I'm assuming everyone's going to be in a league, but if you're not in a league, these numbers are going to be slightly different by like 1 or 2 ticks. So the bonus recovery damage, or not damage, but the bonus recovery Supercharge is slightly varying between power sets. So like Gadgets and Quantum, they were always the best for Supercharge generation for controller. Their bonus is 48, so it's 205 each time you use it. Water Drown is 200. There's a whole bunch kind of standard at the 196 and 39. And then the weakest ones are Electricity with Static Push, Mental Horrific Visage, and Shrapnel Grenade Launcher for munitions. There is there is a back mod for Mental that lowers the cooldown on Horrific Visage. So that's why technically don't put too much weight in this number because a Mental is the only power set that has a cooldown mod for its Supercharge generator, so it can use it much more frequently than the others. So in the end, it's going to even out anyway. So that's more just to kind of make you aware. That's essentially it. It's going to be a toss-up. Some people prefer doing like a Supercharge build. If I was a controller, I would probably use this over, say, like Cyborg. You don't really need the passive power generation as a controller. So until they make a controller ally specifically, then this is kind of a bonus option there. As well for like nature, or not nature, but any kind of healer doing a gem spam build. This would probably be much more handy as an ally passive.